Hi, and welcome to the BIPOC Perioperative Leaders to Know 2021 edition. My name is Josiah Whitman, and I'm the CEO of Whitman Partners. Today's guest is Keeli Stith. Keeli, in a moment, I'm going to jump right into the questions and we'll have about a 30-minute discussion. But to begin, Keeli, will you introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Keeli Stith. I'm the Associate Director for Perioperative Services at The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center.
Welcome, Keeli. Thank you. Keeli, let's start here. What drew you into the medical field to begin with?
Yeah, I actually, I always wanted to be a pharmacist. Started off thinking I was going to be a pharmacist, didn't quite do well in chemistry and stats. My mother said, hey, why don't you be a nurse? Enrolled into the College of Nursing, and I like to say nursing found me. And since then, my profession just really took off. I actually had no idea what nurses did until I actually got into nursing school and clinicals. I really love just the vast different opportunities and different departments that you can be in. I landed in surgery, and I love the architect of surgery. Just in the operating rooms, you get more of that technical piece. You get to work with surgical scrub techs. You get to work with surgeons, and so that is so interesting. And then I also have the pre and post side, which you get into more of that patient education, more of that outpatient. Can be very fast paced. So I just love the dynamics nursing has, and in that end of the day, you get to help people in your community.
And how long have you been in management?
I've been in management since 2015. 2015. I started off in Toronto, Canada. Ran a little ambulatory care clinic that was Princess Margaret. It was a really great hospital. Oncology was more of the specialty field. Then dived right back into surgery at a small community hospital right in Toronto, which was great. Had the opportunity to also work in critical care as an ICU manager. Again, very different, more of your sicker population. That was quite rewarding, very high stress area, but really was able to catapult me back into more of a high profile type portfolios where you get into more of your complex case mix. You get into more of that bigger discussions around operations and finance.
Got it. Are you Canadian?
I am not Canadian. I actually took an opportunity in Canada that I could not resist. And I said, why not? Why not go across the border? And just having that exposure to public health care really stretches you as a leader. Their funding model is vastly different than America. So you really have to be innovative with your care models. You have to be innovative with how you really staff your units, how you manage your surgeries throughout the fiscal year. So it humbled me as a leader because you have to do what they say, you have to do with more with less. And so you really need to be a very strong leader and very out of the box thinker. I kudos to the management and the managers and leaders in Canada, but certainly Ohio is my place of birth. I am a living, breeding Buckeye for life. So I'm here in Columbus. I'm rooted here. My family's here, and I'm really excited to what Columbus has to offer.
I see. Okay. I've got more questions, but then maybe we'll
Okay, let's get into
stick
it.
to our agenda. Have you ever experienced or witnessed discrimination in the operating room? How did you handle it? How did it impact you?
Yeah, I think, I think if you specifically say the operating room, I think it more or less was what my frontline care providers are experiencing. And as a leader, how do we help manage those and help navigate those conversations with our frontline providers now more than ever, in our community and in our politics, we're faced with a lot of conversations that we never had to address in the workplace. So I had a particular scrub tech that was involved in a situation and really helping that person navigate through how to discuss that. I also, as a leader, needed to roll up to my leaders and talk through some educational sessions, talk through really our diversity and inclusion and how we recruit. We know we have a lot of that going on where we need to diversify our recruitment.
Okay, and so what tactics have you used to bring a more diverse candidate pool to the hospital?
Yes. So I've had some great conversations with our HR leaders. Josiah, we have actually, are going to start to partner with our College of Nursing right across the way. We're affiliated with the Ohio State University Nursing. And so we're going to be starting to have some direct conversations of how we can get more diverse our nurses, scrub techs, but most importantly, just a pool of folks that have streamlined into our specialty fields. So that's where you start, that's the key tactic. We are looking at, I do require all of my managers to go through implicit bias training during this, when they're interviewing. They actually have a targeted approach of how they are asking questions. So there are some other tactics that I've pulled out that I personally can do, but also what I've been employing the health center to be doing as well.
Tell me about implicit bias training. How long does it last? How do you test people out at the end? Is there a certification that you have attended the training? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so the implicit bias training is, we do it annually here. It's part of our diversity inclusion program. We are required to, sorry, I timed out there. We are required to, all of our leaders, to go through it. So it's a long day. It's 4 hours. I say a long day, but it's half a day. And you go through different workshops. Now, it is good for a year, but part of my leadership style is that I do my check-ins every 2 weeks. We have good conversations. I've also hosted some of our, we call watch parties. We've had some implicit bias. They had, forget the name of those. They had a week of these diversity and inclusion workshops. And so I hosted a watch party. I brought the staff, our managers, lunch, and we sat around, we watched the workshop online, and we had conversations. So I feel like it lasts as long as you as a leader would like it to last, where you just have to really embed that in the everyday doings that you do with your managers, with your follow-ups, your biweeklies, your performance appraisals need to be embedded with implicit bias check-ins and assessments, and they do provide you with assessment tools as a participant in those workshops.
Do you know the name of the vendor that you use?
I don't have it right offhand, but I can provide that for you.
Sure, I'd be interested.
Yep.
I think others will be too.
Yes. Writing myself a note.
Sure. So with that strategy in place, what additional concerns do you have about the lack of diversity and inclusion in the operating room? What can executive search firms, what can hospital administration, what can your HR department do to promote and encourage it?
I'm always in favor of, you never want too much of the same thing. Food, travel, you always want to just mix things up. And I'm worried that if we continue to go down the road of not opening doors for our BIPOC, not opening doors for our underrepresented nursing and scrub tech providers or anesthesia providers, that you're going to have just that one opinion, that one perspective. And I think that there's an opportunity to open that up. We serve a vast amount of different cultures of patients. And so it's important that we match our community. I think it's important that we continue to uplift and give everyone an opportunity. And so what I think from an HR perspective is really having those really direct conversations of what we want as managers, where we want as directors. We want diversity, and we need to really actually call it out and say it. I think for Whitman Partners or any recruitment firms is to start to ask that questions of medical centers. You know, what is your current diversity on your leadership team? How many people of color do you have? And talk to them about the value of having more BIPOC leaders. Talk to them about the value of opening up to having different types of educators. People learn differently. People take to individuals differently based on their background. So really starting that appreciative inquiry of what is the current state you have right now and talk about that value.
Tell me more about the educator piece to that. I picked that up out of your comments there. So you're talking about a perioperative educator. Do I understand that correctly? Can you flesh that out for me a little bit more so I understand that what your position was on that?
Exactly. My take on this is just saying, Josiah, that when you're in a learning state, you're in a vulnerable state. And you are at a point that you can have a lot of confidence or not a lot of confidence, and your teacher, your educator, is really a key driver to that success. And sometimes, I mean, not sometimes, not all the time, but times at that point, it's an opportunity to have someone that has like values, like culture, someone that maybe someone like you that you can adapt to. There is something to be said about that. There is something to be said that, you know what, I see someone of color that I can potentially do that. That is something that I can do. I can become an educator. So it's really, education is just having a diversity of education. We just need to be able to reach out to all different types of backgrounds. And again, you never want too much of anything because you can't provide a different perspective, a different approach.
Let's turn our attention to mentoring. What advice do you give to the up and coming BIPOC perioperative leader?
So I would say two things from a mentor. If you have it as a BIPOC leader, if you haven't gotten a mentor, get one. This is a very interesting time in healthcare. We have the ears of a lot of medical institutions that there's opportunity here for BIPOC leadership. And so take it, even if they're not BIPOC, even if they're a Caucasian leader, and they're an ally, take advantage of it. I have Caucasian leaders around me who are the best allies. I have BIPOC leaders around me. They're the best allies. So take advantage, get yourself a mentor. Ask them that, you know what, let me stretch a little bit. Let me get on some bigger projects. Let me get in front of senior leadership and be able to present. I have recently, Josiah, I have told myself and promised myself I'm going to speak up and tell people what I want. And I used to live in a world where I would say, I'm not going to tell anybody I want to be a director, but man, I really want to be a director, or I would really love that opportunity. And I would hope that somebody would recognize that. No, I say to people, in front of people, if I want that job, I want that job. That's something I want. And I let them know. And I say, I need opportunity up there to present. I need an opportunity to be on that project. Don't be afraid to tell people what you want to succeed, and don't be afraid to tell people what you want to be and what you want to do.
That's terrific. That's great advice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about vaccine hesitancy. What is the best way for healthcare providers to handle vaccine hesitancy, particularly in the Black community?
Oh, yes. I got an opportunity just recently. I was reading on our Health Beat Hub. They're starting to do some pop-up workshops for in our Black communities. And one of the things I can appreciate, I just did a walk with my father and my cousin. We did the African American Wellness walk here in Columbus, Ohio. Great event. They had over 1,000 people plus show up. They did health screenings. They talk about vaccinations, anywhere from mental health all the way to just physical wellness. You name it, they were out there. Those are the things that we need to have in our communities, venues. I also think that as nurses, as nursing leaders, we need to be involved in our community, in our churches, to be out there talking. Nursing leaders and nurses don't take advantage of the power they have as their voice. The community looks to our nurses, the community looks to our nursing, our healthcare leaders, and we as should be right alongside of physicians, talking up the vaccine and really promoting that. And most importantly, someone that looks like you, that comes from the same culture as you, that is an opportunity. Take advantage of that opportunity.
Right. Great. All right. And then our last question, what's on your reading list? What's on your night table book that you can recommend for us?
Okay. So right now I am reading, hold on. I'm actually, I am the lead or chair for our Nursing Manager Leadership Council. And it is an opportunity for, we have 8 or 10 managers, nurse managers on this council, and they get direct one-on-one with our directors once a month. And we talk about finance, we talked about nursing practice. And so we are currently reading the five languages of appreciation in the workplace.
Okay.
And so we're working through that. This is a very powerful book. It talks about appreciation versus recognition, and there is a difference in both. And we've decided to pick this up because during the pandemic, we hear from our employees that they don't feel appreciated. They don't feel valued. That's across the nation. Our healthcare providers have been working so hard and effortlessly, and we got to go beyond the thank you. We got to go beyond the pizza parties. And so this book is a really good book for leaders who are looking for innovative ways to appreciate and connect with their nurses, to connect with other leaders, to make them feel heard and valued. So if you haven't picked up this book and you're a leader right now in the pandemic, during the pandemic, post-pandemic, this is a really good read.
That's an excellent suggestion. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, that's our questions for today, Keeli. So thank you. On behalf of Whitman Partners and the Director of Perioperative Services Community, thank you and keep up the great work.
All right, thank you. Take care.